Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Great English Podcast. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Mark. Today, we have an exciting and important episode for you. We'll be diving into some deep and thought-provoking topics that are sure to spark some meaningful conversations.
That's right, Mark. Today, we'll be discussing self-esteem, societal beauty standards, and some cultural practices that affect people's lives. These are topics that many of us can relate to and have experienced in some way or another.
Absolutely. Let's get started with our first topic, self-esteem and how it can be influenced by our surroundings.
So, Mark, have you ever had a friend who struggled with self-esteem?
Yes, actually. I remember a friend of mine in university, Sarah. She was incredibly talented and kind, but she often felt like she didn't measure up to others in terms of looks and achievements. It was heartbreaking to see her doubt herself.
That sounds tough. Self-esteem issues are so common, especially with the constant comparison on social media these days.
Exactly. It can be really damaging. But it's important to remember that self-esteem isn't just about how we look, it's also about recognizing our strengths and the unique qualities that make us who we are.
That's a great point. Everyone has something special to offer, and it's important to focus on those positive aspects, rather than just the things we wish we could change.
Right. And it's also crucial to surround ourselves with supportive people who lift us up rather than bring us down.
Speaking of support, let's move on to our next segment about societal beauty standards and their impact on self-esteem.
Societal beauty standards have been around for a long time, and they can really influence how we see ourselves.
Definitely. It's like there's this invisible checklist of what makes someone attractive, and if you don't tick all the boxes, you can feel inadequate.
But the truth is, beauty is incredibly subjective. What one person finds attractive might not be the same for someone else.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that media representations of beauty are often not real. They are heavily edited and curated.
That's true. It's all about creating a fantasy. Real beauty is diverse and comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors.
Exactly. And embracing that diversity is key to breaking down harmful beauty standards. We need to celebrate what makes each person unique.
One way to do that is by promoting positive body image and self-acceptance. It's about loving yourself as you are and recognizing that you don't need to change to fit someone else's idea of beauty.
And it's not just about looks. Inner beauty, kindness, intelligence, humor, those are the things that truly make someone attractive.
Absolutely. Let's take a moment to hear from some of our listeners who have shared their experiences with us.
Our first story comes from Emily, who writes,
I've always felt self-conscious about my freckles. Growing up, I was teased a lot, and it made me wish I could have smooth, clear skin like the models I saw in magazines. But as I got older, I started to see my freckles as part of what makes me unique. Now, I love them and wouldn't change them for the world.
That's a beautiful story, Emily. It's amazing how perspective can change over time.
Our next story is from David.
In my culture, being fair-skinned is often seen as more desirable. I'm naturally darker, and it used to bother me a lot. But I've learned to embrace my skin tone and see it as a reflection of my heritage and identity. It's who I am, and I'm proud of it.
Thank you for sharing, David. Embracing who we are and where we come from is so important.
These stories are a great reminder that beauty comes in many forms, and it's our differences that make us special.
Absolutely. Now, let's move on to our next segment about cultural practices that impact people's lives. One such practice is the concept of dowry.
The dowry system is a cultural practice where the bride's family provides money, goods, or property to the groom's family during a marriage. It's a tradition in many societies, but it can lead to significant problems and unfair treatment of women.
That's right. Despite being illegal in many countries, dowry practices still persist and can cause a lot of harm.
Exactly. The pressure to provide a substantial dowry can put families in difficult financial situations, and can even lead to mental and physical abuse if expectations are not met.
It's a serious issue. But there are steps that can be taken to address it. For instance, educating families about the negative impacts of dowry and encouraging them to focus on love and respect instead of material wealth.
And empowering women through education and financial independence can also make a big difference. When women are educated and self-sufficient, they are in a better position to stand up against dowry demands.
Absolutely. Changing societal mindsets is crucial. We need to shift the focus from dowry transactions to celebrating marriages based on mutual respect and love.
Let's hear from a listener who has experienced this firsthand. This is Priya's story.
My family was pressured to provide a large dowry for my sister's marriage. Caused a lot of stress and tension in our home. My sister was brave enough to stand up and say no. She wanted a marriage based on love and equality, not financial transactions. Her courage inspired us all to rethink our values.
Thank you for sharing, Priya. It's stories like these that can inspire change and encourage others to take a stand.
Absolutely. And it's important to continue these conversations and spread awareness. Together, we can make a difference.
Speaking of cultural practices, another significant topic is gender roles. In many cultures, there are specific expectations placed on men and women that can limit their opportunities and personal growth.
That's true. Gender roles can dictate everything from career choices to how we behave in social situations. They can be incredibly restrictive and often unfair.
For example, in some cultures, women are expected to take on the majority of household responsibilities even if they have full-time jobs. This double burden can be exhausting and can limit their professional advancement.
And for men, there's often pressure to be the primary breadwinner and to hide their emotions. This can lead to stress, mental health issues, and a lack of emotional support.
Challenging these gender roles is essential for creating a more equitable society. Both men and women should have the freedom to pursue their interests and careers without being constrained by outdated expectations.
Let's hear from a listener who has navigated these challenges. This is Michael's story.
Growing up, I was always told that men don't cry and that I needed to be tough. It made it hard for me to express my emotions. As I got older, I realized that showing vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. I've been working on breaking down those barriers and encouraging others to do the same.
Thank you for sharing, Michael. It's so important to break free from these limiting gender roles and to support one another in expressing our true selves.
Absolutely. Now, let's move on to our next segment about another cultural practice that can have a significant impact on people's lives: arranged marriages.
Arranged marriages are a practice in many cultures where families play a central role in selecting a spouse for their children. This tradition can have both positive and negative aspects.
That's right. On one hand, arranged marriages can provide a sense of stability and support, as families often take into account compatibility and shared values.
However, there can also be significant pressure on individuals to comply with their family's wishes, even if it goes against their personal desires.
It's crucial to strike a balance where individuals have a say in their own futures, while still respecting their cultural traditions.
Let's hear from a listener who has experienced an arranged marriage. This is Aisha's story.
My parents arranged my marriage when I was 22. At first, I was apprehensive, but over time, I grew to love and respect my husband. We share many values and have a strong bond. However, I believe it's important for both parties to have a choice and to enter into marriage willingly.
Thank you for sharing, Aisha. Your story highlights that arranged marriages can work well when there's mutual respect and willingness from both sides.
Exactly. It's all about finding a balance that honors tradition while also prioritizing personal choice and happiness.
One of the most powerful tools for creating change in these areas is education. Education empowers individuals to make informed decisions about their lives and to challenge societal norms.
Absolutely. Education opens doors to new opportunities and allows people to break free from limiting beliefs and practices.
For instance, educated women are more likely to pursue careers, delay marriage and childbirth, and advocate for their rights. Education also helps to challenge gender stereotypes and promote equality.
And for men, education can encourage emotional intelligence, respect for women, and shared responsibilities in the household. It promotes a more balanced and equitable society.
Let's hear from a listener who has experienced the transformative power of education. This is Maria's story.
Growing up in a rural area, opportunities for girls were limited. My parents prioritized my education, and it changed my life. I became the first girl in my village to attend university. Now, I'm a teacher, and I advocate for girls' education. It has opened so many doors for me and the girls I teach.
Thank you for sharing, Maria. Your story is incredibly inspiring and a testament to the power of education.
Absolutely. It's stories like yours that show the importance of investing in education for all.
Another crucial factor in shaping our perceptions and breaking down stereotypes is the media. The media can influence how we see ourselves and others, often perpetuating harmful stereotypes but also having the potential to create positive change.
That's true. Social media, television, movies, and magazines all play a role in shaping societal norms and standards. It's important for media to represent diversity and promote positive messages about self-esteem and beauty.
For instance, when we see a diverse range of body types, skin colors, and backgrounds represented in the media, it helps normalize those differences and promote acceptance.
And technology can also be a powerful tool for spreading positive messages and connecting people across the globe. Online communities can provide support and encouragement, helping individuals to feel less isolated in their experiences.
Let's hear from a listener who has found support through online communities. This is Alex's story.
I've struggled with body image issues for most of my life. Finding a supportive community online made a huge difference for me. I connected with people who understood what I was going through and offered encouragement and advice. It's amazing how technology can bring people together.
Thank you for sharing, Alex. It's wonderful to hear how online communities can provide support and make a positive impact.
Absolutely. The internet can be a powerful force for good when used to connect and uplift one another.
As we come towards the end of our episode, let's discuss some practical tips for overcoming self-esteem challenges.
Great idea, Catherine. One of the most important steps is to practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself and recognize that everyone has flaws and makes mistakes.
That's so true. It's also helpful to focus on your strengths and achievements. Keep a journal where you write down things you're proud of and positive feedback you receive.
Surrounding yourself with positive and supportive people is another key factor. Spend time with those who uplift and encourage you.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to seek professional help if you need it. Therapists and counselors can provide valuable tools and support for building self-esteem.
Engaging in activities you enjoy that make you feel good about yourself can also boost your self-esteem. Whether it's a hobby, sport, or volunteer work, do things that bring you joy.
And lastly, challenge negative thoughts and replace them with positive affirmations. Remind yourself of your worth and value regularly.
Let's hear from a listener who has successfully improved their self-esteem. This is Sarah's story.
I used to struggle with low self-esteem, but I started practicing mindfulness and self-compassion. I surrounded myself with positive influences and focused on my strengths. Over time, I began to see myself in a more positive light. It's a journey, but I'm proud of the progress I've made.
Thank you for sharing, Sarah. Your journey is a wonderful example of how positive changes and mindset shifts can improve self-esteem.
Absolutely. It's all about taking small steps and being patient with yourself.
As we wrap up today's episode, we hope that our discussion has provided you with valuable insights and encouragement.
Remember, self-esteem and beauty standards are complex issues influenced by many factors, including societal norms, cultural practices, and media representations.
But by embracing our unique qualities, challenging harmful practices, and supporting one another, we can create a more inclusive and accepting world.
Thank you to all our listeners who shared their stories and experiences with us. Your voices are important and help to create a more understanding and supportive community.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We hope you found today's episode helpful and inspiring.
If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with your friends.
And don't forget to leave us a comment or send us a message. We love hearing from you and appreciate your feedback.
Until next time, remember to be kind to yourself and others and to celebrate the beauty and uniqueness that each person brings to the world.
This is Catherine
and Mark, signing off from the Great English Podcast. Take care.